Hello, everyone. Here I am today with another Freedom to Feel conversation with Eddy Smits. And I'll give you a brief introduction about him and then I'll ask him questions. Eddy Smits is a TEDx speaker and author, a licensed NLP practitioner. He is a certified management driver's trainer and has a bachelor's in pedagogy, and he's also a professional artist for 22 years. So that's my brief introduction about you, Eddy. Now, very brief, very brief.
That's good.
Now, in your own words, who is Eddy?
Eddy is somebody who has always walked a little bit out of the crowd since he was a kid, actually. Never fitted in, really. And then I had a certain passion or love for children. I wanted to do something for children, so I started to study as a teacher. But then that wasn't for me. I couldn't. I wasn't creative, and I wasn't. So I am somebody who follows his passion, and I have always done that. And through following my passion, that's my journey, and yeah, and that's also what I'd say to people: just follow your passion. Don't let other people push you off it, which happens a lot. And that's who I am. Actually, I'm very passionate in what I do.
Right. I love that passion, following our bliss. I think it was Joseph Campbell who said that. And then one of the things that I hear a lot is purpose. So is that the same thing, Eddy? Purpose, passion, bliss, mission?
Yeah. See, and I love the question because let's just call it all BS. Let's just do what we love. Let's just go for what we love, what we like to do, and all the rest are words and expression. And people nowadays are so hung up with purpose and meditation and mindfulness and all these words, these I don't know, these marketing words. I don't know.
Yeah.
Forget it. Just do what you love. Follow your heart. Follow what you want to do, and do that. And all the rest are words and marketing. And one man. It's like it's a little bit like leadership, right? I looked it up. If you put in the word leadership in Google, you have like 2 or 3 billion hits or something like that.
Yeah.
And everybody pretends to know what it is, and that's the same with those words like purpose, mindfulness, meditation, coaching. All these words. Let's just call it what it is. Let's just try to explain to people what it is in our own way. And tell people, do what you love, do what your heart says to do, and just try to find your happiness. That's all.
Yes, that's a beautiful message. I remember that's how I begun. I think I was 37, I'm 45, when I began questioning everything. Like, I got to do what is in my heart. And that's how I remember I wrote a book about this, like coming from the heart. I love that. I guess the question for you is, how do we know the difference? How do we actually know for sure when we are following the heart or doing what we love?
Yeah, it's a good question. We don't. We only discover. I had a burnout in 2015 after my career as an artist. And then I had to refine that passion, right? Because I had to do something else, and I didn't know what passion was at that point. And I did so many things, but I tried and tried and tried. Until at some point you find something that and sometimes the puzzle is not complete and there's something missing, but you always feel it. There's something off, or you're not relaxed. You're not in flow. You're stressed. All these things, and as long as these symptoms keep on appearing, then you're not following your right path, and then you just have to try something else. in my case now I know that it is, I want to help people. That's my thing. And that was it also when I was younger. I wanted to help people. I wanted to, that's also the clown, what the clown does. It's throughout my life, that's also helping people. That's my red thread. But I'm 55 now, so
Yeah.
I have discovered that, and even from, let's say, 2018, when I started coaching until now, I learned so much about myself, and I'm still
Yeah.
learning.
Right.
So yeah, just
Mm.
keep in your
Mm.
journey, keep enjoying your journey. Um, yeah, there's
Yeah.
no end. There's no end. There's no end,
Right.
and it doesn't have to be an end. Because it's good as it is now.
Right.
So
That's true, Eddie. It sounds very spiritual to me, the way you speak. It's very
yeah.
free. There's a lot of freedom. That's
Hmm.
what, I mean, I do a lot of spiritual, I'm engaged with a lot of spiritual knowledge and spiritual practices I have been doing for a
Yeah.
long time. Not practice to get more spiritual or anything like that, but just
Hmm.
to deepen my own ideas of what spirituality is, which basically is
Yeah.
being a good person. But
Yeah.
I love the way you speak. It sounds very spiritual. Do you have any spiritual views of yourself in life?
It's really funny that you mentioned it, because I don't consider myself as somebody spiritual, but I know that a lot
Yeah.
of people do. I consider myself somebody who realizes very well that if I want to make other people happy, that I have to start with myself,
Mm,
have to
yeah.
start with my that I am a happy person. It's like a candle, right? If you lit a candle, you can lit thousands of
Yeah.
others, but you have to lit
Yeah.
your own candle first before you can
Right.
do it. Um,
True.
yeah, and I know it's a search of a lot of people, and yeah, it's the thing everybody wants. He wants to be happy, and everybody is looking in the future. And
Right.
I believe that we have to look what's now. What do we have now, and
Mm,
how can we be happy now with what we have? And if you
right.
don't have it, okay, you can try to
Right.
acquire it, but make sure that it's not a plan for a plan, because when you acquire it, you're looking for the next thing. So
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
really I really think if you can't be happy now, you will never be happy. I
Mm,
really believe that.
wow. That's a powerful statement. If you can't be happy now, so there's no hope for you in the sense of the future
But
being happy later.
there is no, there's a lot of
Huh.
hope for you. Yeah, there are people that can help you, and you can read books, and you can have insights. That there's always
Right.
hope, but you
Mm,
have to acknowledge for yourself. I have to try to be happy now, and there
right.
are always things
Mm,
that can make you happy. It can
right.
be simple. It can be a cup of
Right.
coffee. It can be as simple as that.
Right. I love that. That's a beautiful message. Right. There's always hope in that sense, although I try not to to hope for anything, but just live my life moment by moment as exactly
Yeah,
as you described. Just be here now and not as a cliche, but just being satisfied with what is happening.
yeah,
Right.
absolutely. Yeah.
I love that message. So the title of these podcast interviews, these video interviews that I came up with, just was inspired by feelings of emotions and feelings and in
Hmm.
freedom. So I wanted to put those three elements together. So some people they believe that freedom and emotions are the same. So a question
Hmm.
for you, just a quick question. What is freedom from that perspective, from the perspective of feelings and emotions? What would that be to you, Eddie?
From feeling and emotions, I think
Yes.
that you can show them. I think that's a kind of freedom, um, that you can show your emotions, that you're free to show your emotions.
Mm,
Again, it's up to you, of course.
yeah.
But I think if you look up the persons, plural, where you are allowed to show your emotions, how you feel at that moment, and how you are. I think that's yeah, that topic is freedom for me in that topic. Yeah.
Yeah. So just being free in a sense of being able to be vulnerable enough or be authentic enough to just be yourself in the moment and express your feelings. Right. A lot of times we go deeper into it in a sense of negative emotions when they arise. Like
Mm,
how much of that can we express with others?
everything. See, negative emotions, they are not wrong. There are. I always use the little story, or how you call it, the
Yeah.
analog,
Yeah.
or it's the other name.
Anecdote. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if you if you put your hand on a hot plate, your body will warn you, right? And you
Yeah.
put it off. And
Right.
that's the same with emotions. They warn you there's something wrong. I have to
Mm.
do something. And if you stay in these negative emotions, that's the same as holding your hand on the hot stove.
Ah.
You don't do
Ah.
that. You lift your hand, and the sooner you lift your hand, the better, of course. So people who stay in these negative emotions, who keep on in this victim role, who
Right.
always say, "Oh, it's happened again to me, and I will never be happy. I will never find love. I will never earn money." All these things that keep
Right.
them in these negative emotions, you have to avoid that, and you can avoid that because you're in
Yeah.
control of your own emotions. But
Mm.
having a negative emotion, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just
Right.
how you deal with it and what you do with it. And it's a sign that there is something you need to change. It's a sign that you need to
Mm.
put your hand off the hot stove. That's the sign.
Yeah.
Nothing more than
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Warning sign. That's all
Yeah.
it is.
That's a very good example, analogy. I could visualize that in a
Analogy.
sense,
That,
right?
that word,
Isn't it?
yeah, that word. I was
Yeah,
looking for that word. Yeah.
that's very good. I didn't think it that way, right? I never thought it that way, and I never heard it that way, actually. So that's kind of
Yeah.
refreshing. But yeah, it makes a lot of sense to me. So being able to listen to ourselves and not to ignore
Yeah.
those negative, strong, heavy, not negative really, as you said, nothing wrong. It's just that they are charged. There's a lot of power behind them, a lot of energy behind them. Going back to what do you, like I asked off record before we began the
Mm,
filming today, being an artist, and especially working
yeah.
with children, do you, I know it's analyzing a little bit further, but I was
Mm.
curious to know how you came into that idea, that concept. Did something happen to you in childhood, perhaps, that you felt?
I don't think so. I don't know. I always had a huge imagination, and I was very creative as a child in my
Yeah.
play and what I did. And it was that kind of expression, that kind of creativity that I needed and that I couldn't find. So I began as a teacher. I studied for being a teacher, and I couldn't
Yeah.
find that in that job. So I had to find something else. And you know, that's also a cliche, but it is like that. You can't find anything before you're looking for it, you know.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, you want something and say, hey, I need something, I want creativity, and then something comes on your path. In my case, it was puppet theater
Yeah.
through somebody I knew, and I started to make my own puppets and my decors and my plays, and I wrote plays. So that was a very creative thing. I made like 4 or 5 productions.
Hmm.
And at some point, I saw a clown on TV, and he
Yeah.
did something with children, and it was a very popular clown, television clown in Belgium in that period. And it was both things. It was the clown figure that was appealing to me, but it was also the thing that I saw how engaged these children were with this clown.
Mm.
And I could get this engagement until a certain point because puppetry has, but that was more the story that engaged them. But now
Yeah.
I saw that the figure engaged them. My stories were
Yeah.
engaging, and my puppets were really nice. But now I saw a figure. He didn't need to do anything. He was just there, and already the kids were like drawn to this character.
Right.
And so I went into that. I read about it. I saw movies. And that was my new thing. I said, "Oh, this is a way to really reach children." And I followed courses. I worked with
Yeah.
people, and again, there another journey began. And in that journey, happened the most um, exciting thing. The most exciting 10 years of my life was then that I became a hospital clown.
Right.
And
Wow.
there, for me, there my personal
Mm.
development started
Yeah.
by doing that work.
That sounds amazing. When I read that about you, the hospital clown helping children, that sounds very meaningful.
Yeah, it is. And the thing is, you learn so much about yourself, about life, about people.
Yeah.
You have to imagine you're going in, especially the last years, I did a lot of palliative kids. So you're going into a room and
Yeah.
as a person, as a human being, that this child will live maximum few weeks. You know that.
Right.
You
Right.
need to be a strong person to go
Right.
into that room, to
Mm.
open that door and to see what happens, because hospital clowning doesn't work with a script, so it's all improvised. You open the door and from there anything
Yeah.
can happen. So that makes you a very strong person. You learn a
Wow.
lot of that with it, and
Yeah.
from that things from hospital clowning, I even wrote a book about it. You can
Mm.
use this attitude and what you do and how you do it. You can use it in your life, in your relationship, in your business, and that's what I did, and that's also why I did in my whole career. I used these things in everything I did, actually, because it's so valuable.
Right. It sounds like, Eddie. Thank you for doing that, for being open to life and with an open
Yeah.
heart, really. Yeah, it really stopped me there when I saw that because I never went through that experience. So I was just trying to
Mm.
imagine what it's like to be around children who are dying. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's incredible. And then you write a book that's titled Model C. I would love to hear a bit more about that. I know I couldn't read the book before meeting you today, so talk to me about the book for a moment.
Yeah, it started like I wrote down, you did a room and something happened and you did something right or wrong, and you came out of the room and you had some paper and you wrote it down, and
Yeah,
at 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 the end of these 10 years, I had like a box
yeah,
full of these
I
papers that
can
I wrote
imagine.
them down, even drawings.
Yes.
Um, and it started out as catalyzing them, because in that period I started to train other clowns who wanted to go into hospitals, and as I saw it as a way, okay, if I note this down and maybe give these notes to these new clowns, they can learn a lot of it.
Yeah.
But as I started to organize my thoughts, actually I saw this is more than that. I can use that to write a book and to
Right.
tell about people about how you can use these simple things and
Right.
just implement them in your life. And that was actually how the book came to life. And before I
Right.
knew it, it was 100 pages, and
Wow.
that was it. It was a difficult topic because it's hard to explain exactly what you do as a clown and how you get that laugh. It's really
Right.
hard. It's
Yeah.
really hard to explain to
Uh,
people that are not clowns because they really
right.
don't understand it. So it was a
Right.
challenge.
Right.
But on the other hand, again, that was the start of my personal development, and there I saw, okay, I need to do something with this material because this can make people happy. This is something people need to know, need to do. And I started to see it everywhere. At that period, I read Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now,
Yeah.
which is exactly what the power of the clown is, because the clown has no
Yeah.
past, he has no future, he only has
Mm,
now. So that for
right.
me was, whoa, there are more people who are into this matter, only they view it from another perspective.
Right.
Always viewed it from this clown's perspective, and a lot of
Right.
things that I read after that, I said, I'm not writing new things here, but I knew that I'm not
Yeah.
finding out hot water again, but I'm doing it from a perspective of this clown, and that was very unique. I thought, yeah.
Right. It sounds like it. I don't know much about clowns. I think I went to a circus one or two when I was a child, but I don't remember having an
Yeah,
experience with them really. I don't know much about them. Is that
yeah.
so clowns don't use language to make people laugh?
I often didn't, because I
Yeah.
still think that without words it's stronger. But that's just an
Mm,
opinion, of course. Um,
yeah.
the basic thing, and that's a lesson for life. Like I'm telling it, a clown gets his success by failing. If a clown
Yeah.
stumbles, which is failing, his audience
Yeah.
laughs.
Yeah.
So everything where he fails, he makes his audience
Mm,
laugh. So he
mm,
has to love failing, because the more he fails, the more success he will have with his audience. And you
right.
can just and that's how the book is transferring this thing. You can transfer this to life. The more you
Right.
fail, the closer you are to your success.
Hmm. Yeah, that's one of the principles, right? You actually
That's
mentioned
one of
that.
the principles. Yeah.
Yeah, on your website, I have here where you said using the principles of a hospital clown will improve your leadership, increase your happiness, and help you achieve your goals and dreams. And you did mention the failing. So that caught my attention because you just said now it's kind of interesting that we laugh. You're right. When somebody falls, it's almost like instead of helping them, you laugh first. It's
Yeah,
not doesn't
of course.
sound good. Doesn't sound too great that we laugh at other people's misery, but maybe it's the way they like the way the clowns they recover or they see that failure. They kind of bounce back really quickly. They don't take it seriously. Is that what it is?
It's that for sure, and it is. It's not caring about the failure.
Ah,
We fail, and we most people, they fail, they don't try again, or maybe they try another times, but then
yeah,
when they fail
yeah,
again, they don't try. But
right.
the clown keeps on trying because he knows that he has to do it, because otherwise his audience doesn't laugh. He needs
Ah,
to fail.
yeah,
So yeah, so
yeah.
at some point he has to love this failing. He has to, and
Mm,
people don't like failing, right? But the
right.
clown loves it. He really loves failing, and he's going to search to fail.
Yeah.
And if you have that,
Wow.
yeah, and if you have that perspective in life, hey, let's say you're a saleswoman or a salesman, right? And you have 10 phone calls or 20 phone calls a day, and you say, okay, I'm gonna have 20 no's. I'm not going to sell anything. I want to have 20 no's. Well, if you have one yes, it's success. But a
Right.
salesman who goes in with the attitude, I want to do 5 sales today. I have to
Right.
get 5 sales, and he does one, he's
Right.
disappointed.
Yeah. True.
That's the difference. That's the whole difference.
Wow. I wish we could laugh more or have other people laughing even at us and we would just bounce back, not take
Yeah.
ourselves too seriously. I love that message. That's another powerful message, Eddie. I'm curious to know about another one or two of the other principles that you share with your coaching program and your book.
Yeah. There are so many. Yeah. So you have the power of now. I told that already.
Yeah.
You have to be open-minded. Clown is
Yeah.
open-minded. It doesn't judge, right?
Right. Right.
Then there's a powerful that
Yeah.
chapter in the book. It's called "No is not negative," and that's a little bit also. That's the story to tell with the self. No is not negative. You need to. You need to. They always say, "Yes lives in the land of no," right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's not. It's also that also has to do with boundaries. You have to
Right.
say no
Right.
sometimes for your
True.
boundaries, or you get stressed, or people will walk over you.
Yes.
So also
Yeah.
there, no is very important. And even a clown sometimes has to say no, because the funny story happened to me in hospital, because as a clown you don't have, how you don't have anything to say. You're you're below zero.
Yeah.
You have the hospital staff, you have the nurses, you have the cleaning personnel, but you have no authority at all, none.
Yeah.
But still you have to go into these rooms. And I remember one day a cleaning lady told me, you can't go into that room. And I thought, with my naive thinking, okay, the floor is still wet. When my mother cleaned the house and the floor was wet, I couldn't go in the room. Said, no, no, stay
Right.
in the room, wait until I
Right.
try, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Tell
Yes.
me about
And
it.
I
Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought it was that, but it seemed that this cleaning lady just decided for her own. No, no, that child doesn't want to see a clown. She decided that for her own.
Yeah.
I figured that out later. So and also sometimes when nurses say no, don't visit that clown. So I needed to have a strong no and say, no, sorry, I'm going into that room because you don't know what I'm going to do there. Even I don't know.
Right.
So
Right.
so I, without any authority,
Yeah.
it was very important that I stated, look, I'm going to that room, whatever
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
And unless of course there is that I can't go in there with the contamination of stuff.
Right. Medical
That's
reasons.
another
Yeah.
medical reasons. That's another thing. But otherwise, is if there is no medical reason, I'm going in there. I
Yeah.
even had parents who told me, no, my child doesn't want to see a clown. And then ask them,
Yeah.
who said that? Is it you or if it's your child? Yeah, but he's already 14 years old. So,
Right.
doesn't he like to laugh? Yeah, but
Right.
clowns is for little children. Who told you that?
Right.
You know, who told you that clowns are for little children?
Right.
Nobody's nobody's telling you. If you see the let's say the
Right.
stand-up comedians of today, they are clowns. They are sort of clowns. That's
Yeah.
not for
Yeah.
children.
Right.
I mean, so there are so these fixed beliefs of people that I had to
Yeah.
tear down week after week after week.
Wow.
But that's you have to stay. That's why no is so important. I always say no. No is a new yes, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It kind of
Yeah,
caught my attention there too, because that was one of my
yeah,
biggest challenge in life, to say no, and I'm still
yeah. Of
learning
course.
to say
Yeah.
no.
An obvious one is smile. I always say
Yeah.
start with smiling to yourself in the mirror before you go to work.
Yeah.
It happens if you smile to people. There's something magic that happens. It's just like
Yes.
that, and it's very simple.
Yeah.
Then you have something. You have play. You know, even if you are an adult, keep
Yeah.
playing. Keep
Right.
playing.
Right.
Whatever you play, just keep playing. Even playing golf. I say, oh, if
That's
I
playing.
mean,
Yeah.
if you play golf, it's also playing, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That
not
is
that I'm
true.
an advocate for golf, but I mean everything is playing. You want to have more
Uh,
principles.
no, that's enough,
I've
you
tried it.
know? Yeah, you make me reflect about play, right? I love
Yeah,
playing. I have a dog that brought up the child in me. Every time I
absolutely,
see him, I'm
absolutely,
completely different. I start voice
absolutely.
change, and I'm kind of dancing around him. Isn't that interesting, Eddie? How
There,
pets?
yeah, there are projects in hospitals where they bring dogs into the hospital. There is even a
Right.
project where they bring a horse into the
Oh
hospital.
my God, that's
Can you believe that?
amazing. I
So
love
yeah,
that.
it's really amazing. It's lovely. Yeah,
Yeah. Another question I have for you, not to get too serious, but although I like
yeah,
both that balance between play and not really serious. I think the word I use is wise is wisdom. Wisdom
hmm,
and playfulness, although they go together, right? When we are wise, we kind of have more fun in life.
yeah.
So, what are some of the insights that you gained, like from wisdom, something that's really soul-like that you learned from being a hospital clown?
Let me tell you a story.
Yeah.
I once visited 7 or 9 years. I always forget. It was 9 years, and the doctors had given her a week maximum,
Yeah.
and I had to really fight to go into this room because the parents told me we don't want a clown now. We have other problems. Our child is dying. That kind of
Right.
conversations I had a lot,
Yeah.
and I told the parents, look, it's not only for the child; it's also for your family
Right.
because they are going to love this. Child is going to love this, and you're not going to regret this. So after discussion, they let me in the room, and it was really a little bit dark room, and there were a lot of people, 10, 15 people.
Yeah.
Everybody was there. Everybody was crying, and the child just sat on the bed. So I didn't really know what to do. I just sat myself down beside her, and I had to do something, right? So at some point, I asked her, "Do you know why everybody is crying here in this room?"
Right.
And then she says, "No, I don't
Mm.
know." And that struck me. But of course, I stayed in my role as a clown, and I went in deeper. I said, "Oh, why is that?" Well, she said, "My parents told me that when I die, I will go to sleep forever."
Mm.
And I said, "Yeah, actually, that's true. Yeah, you'll go to sleep forever." And then she said, "Well, then I don't know why everybody is crying because
Mm.
sleeping is my favorite thing to do."
Mm. Ah. Mm.
And
Yeah.
that point changed not only the whole family lives, because after that, somebody started laughing, and the atmosphere was changed. But
Yeah.
that also changed my life
Mm.
at that point.
Mm.
That wisdom, the wisdom there that I
Right.
found there, this profound wisdom, and it was not a child being naive. She
Mm.
she she knew what she was saying. She
Right.
fully knew. She was fully there. You felt that,
Right.
and yeah.
Mm.
If people ask me about wisdom, I say that this is wisdom. This was wisdom. This is the most
Yeah.
wise thing I ever heard somebody say, and she was 9.
Yeah.
So what is wisdom, Valeria? What is wisdom?
Yeah.
You know, I
Yeah.
think wisdom is at a point where you need to help people saying the right things or doing the right things. That's wisdom.
Right. That sounds like it. You said in the very beginning about helping others. Everything that you do in life, that having that purpose, whatever the purpose, connection, passion, mission is has to do with helping others. Makes us
Yeah.
feel happy and good, satisfied, and we help other people. So that makes a lot of sense. And I love that story. That makes me think about the spiritual practice that I engage in, which are
Mhm.
exactly about that consciousness and what is this like you just wake up one day in this body and you realize you're in the body. What is all this? So yeah, in the deeper sense, that's exactly what it is. Consciousness, pure consciousness. There's no views, no, doesn't see anything. It's almost like deep sleep, almost like
Mhm.
that. But because it's everything, then it gives us the opportunity to see things too, to interact with this, which is not really an interaction. It's like a dream type of thing. I love that. Yeah, that's children are so wise, almost naturally wise. There's so much wisdom in children, and when we become more like children, seems like we kind of let that wisdom flow a lot more too.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of explanation, of course, because the older we get, the more info we're getting from our parents, from our teachers, from everybody, and everybody is giving us their opinions and things. And at some point, we choose our way, but choosing our way is just taking on opinions of people. And then at some point in our life, and that can be, for me, that was like I was beginning 20s was that, hey, there has to be more than this can't be it, this is
Yeah,
kind of, and at some point in his life, everybody's got it. Some can get it at a younger age, some older, doesn't matter. And then you start opening up for other things, and then you say, whoa, the thing that my parents always told me, maybe there's another way, or maybe they told me because they didn't know better, or my teachers
right,
told me because they didn't know better.
right,
So you start to open up again, and you say, hey, let's see what's out there, and let's see what I can do, because I'm not feeling happy.
right,
I'm not feeling it. Is this my life? I don't want to be that the rest
mm,
of my life is this. So you open up, and then when you open up, it's when you open a door,
mm,
inevitably somebody will walk in. But
yeah,
as long as the door is closed, nobody will walk in. And of course, people will walk in with bad intentions, but always people with good intentions.
yeah,
And then it's just, I think, then it's your gut feeling, okay, or where do I
mm,
want to go with my life? What do I want to do in my life? And that can be anything. But it has to be that thing. It has to be what you want, and not what other people say. Hey, you're good in this. Why
right,
don't you go do that? Or hey,
right,
you're so
right,
clever. Why don't you study for doctor or lawyer or whatever?
right,
No, I want to be an artist. You an artist. You're too clever for that. You can be a doctor. You can. Don't you want to become? Don't you want to earn much more money and stuff and stuff? So that all
right, right,
that, and then again you're pulled,
right,
and I think that's a little bit our way to find. Okay, what is my way to be happy? Okay, mine is to make others happy. That's
mm,
my way. But somebody else could be riding horses. Somebody else could be, yeah, being a lawyer. Why not? Another
yeah.
person can be being on a ship. I don't matter. There are so many things. But if you really want that from your heart and from your passion, you should just go for it, whatever it is.
Right, right.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, that's a beautiful message too. And I know that in your case, you had opposition, right, with your family
Yeah,
doing what you wanted to do. That was not really
yeah, of course.
accepted immediately.
Yeah, you
Um,
have to be. You have to consider this was
yeah,
end 80s, early 90s,
right.
89, 90. There was no internet. There was a totally different time. So
Yeah.
then somebody comes up, I want to be a clown, I want to make my living out of it. And I said, what? did he hit his head somewhere? Um,
Yeah. But you did it
so well,
anyway. I admire you,
I did
Eddie,
it.
for
Yeah.
that. Yeah, how beautiful. And that really makes me think about past lives and just having these many incarnations. And that's the studies I do. And I question everything in the sense of if we keep coming back here. So my question is, why do we keep coming back? I want to know how can we stop that? Or at least how can we have a better a wiser, more peaceful, and happier human experience when we come back? Those are they were my main questions, foundational questions.
But what do you mean with coming back? Reincarnate, or what do you mean with that?
Yeah, in a sense of that piece of consciousness that's in you and me right now. It's
Yeah,
different. It's not the same. You have different thoughts. You have different
of
emotions. Me
course.
too. So we all different. That
Yes.
seems to survive. The body dies, but that part of us, which is the inner self, or the
Yeah.
mental activities, it still continues. The mind continues, and then reincarnates, comes back to in a new body. That's from my understanding of trying to do as much study as I can in the spirituality, and it seems like it happens. Nobody really knows for sure, although some religious philosophy they guarantee that happens, and it really feels
There's
like it.
yeah, there's something reassuring about that. There's something nice about it. I don't
Yeah.
believe in reincarnation, but there's something nice about it, as
Yes.
you know, you get another chance. It's like
Yeah.
you fumbled the ball, but
Right.
hey, don't worry, you get a new ball here. Yeah,
Yes.
if you
Right.
fumble it again, don't worry, you get a new ball. And I
Right.
think as long as you live life with good
Right.
intentions,
Right.
you
Mm.
know, we don't know what's going to happen,
Yeah.
and I don't care. That's also my statement. I really don't. So that's why I'm
Yeah.
trying to do as much as I want to do now, because let's suppose that there's nothing after this,
Mm.
which
Yeah.
probably isn't, but
Mm.
suppose that it is.
Yeah.
Then I want to do things now. That's
Yes.
also one of the reasons I want to do it now. Uh, a lot of people say I'm going to do that someday, or I'm going to someday I'm going to travel the world. Someday I'm going to go to Canada.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying, why someday? No, make plans today
Right.
when you want to go, because
Right.
otherwise it will stay someday, and then yeah, then you know the
Mm.
story is, if they've asked so many people on their deathbed what 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 their pain is or what they regret, and
Yeah.
it's not the things they did, it's the things they didn't do.
Right. Right.
That's what people regret, the things that they didn't do.
That's true.
And most of it are stupid things, just stupid things. Yeah, I always, my life, I always wanted to go to Paris. Oh my God, take a plane to Paris, there's a plane every hour to Paris.
You see, that's an interesting idea, isn't it? When we think about being happy now, doing what we want now, those then you speak of experiences, and those are nice too. Of course, why not? If we can have them, why not? But my main quest has been always to knowledge. Like I want to know, why do I
Mm,
want to have these experiences? And I don't want to keep having them in order to be happy, in order to feel fulfilled. I want to have them
yeah,
because they just happen, but not because I'm in search of being happier than I am now. So I've been always searching for inner peace, for being
yeah.
perfectly at peace now, regardless.
The only thing that is, there's a little bit of trap there, is that we tend to try to give things meaning, right? That's
Yes.
human beings do that, and there's a
Yeah.
little danger in that, if because you know, sometimes things just happen without a reason,
Right.
and that's also
Right.
from my own perspective. I mean, why does a 3-year-old child get cancer? There is no reason, and the more you are looking, the more you are looking for a reason and to give this a meaning. That's a little bit, in my, this purely my opinion, I think it's dangerous, because there is no meaning for a 3-year-old to get. What could possibly be the meaning of that?
Mm.
So uh, again, here is a little
Yeah.
bit, we are searching and searching and searching. That's good, you know, that's all good. We need to have insights, and we learn, and we have a journey.
Right.
But again, let's try to keep it in the now as much as
Mm.
possible, as much as possible. And sometimes we need to say, hey, let's don't be that serious, a little less serious. Don't try to find the meaning of that,
Yeah.
because probably there isn't one.
Hmm. Yeah, you have a point with always trying to assign meaning to everything that happens, right?
I did that in my 20s. I wanted to give meaning on everything. I remember I had a cat that was killed by a car that passed by, and I wanted to give that
Yeah.
meaning.
Yeah.
And I was trying that for 1 year, but I made myself unhappy for 1 year.
Yeah. That's I think that's a bit different than the things that what I have been. So maybe I was searching. Of course, I was assigning meaning to everything before. Now it became more contemplative, and it's very reflective the way I live my life. It's always.
Can you give an example? What you're?
Yeah, like that's one thing. The karma
Mm-hmm.
idea is one thing, concept that
Mm-hmm.
everything that we see here, we tend not to ignore. Oh, that happened for a reason, or some people say there's no reason at all, like you say. So if you want to find a reason, then we go to the karma, and that really makes sense. The whole system makes a lot of sense. But
That's
then
true.
it does make sense, right?
It
Because I
does
have
make sense.
experienced myself. Yeah,
Makes
it
sense.
really, yeah, karma makes sense to me. So when you talk about a child that was born with cancer and died soon after, then if you wanted to really understand deeper what happened there, you could by thinking about the system of karma. So in different lifetimes, something happened. That child did something,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
it was not a child, of course, it was an adult who did a lot of
Mm.
things that were not so nice to other people. And then you come here, and I mean, that's the
That
karma
could be an
making.
explanation. Yeah, that could be an explanation.
Yes.
Another thing you could do, and what I try to do, is if something bad happens and it's a challenge, try to see the gift in that. And that's the
Yes.
challenge. That's a
Yes.
challenge.
True.
My phone broke today,
Yeah.
and in the beginning I was very angry, and then at some point I said,
Yeah.
okay, well, let's try to find the gift in this, Eddie. And yeah, the gift was okay. Then I finally leave my phone alone for a day, right? That's the gift.
Yeah.
Okay, because otherwise you always look in your phone and checking your social media. So that was the
Yeah.
gift. That's a simple example, but I
Yeah.
think
I
if
like that.
these really bad things happen in our life, um, of course there's grief and there's all that, but at some point you have to find a gift in that, because if you don't, you will stay in this grief and you will stay bitter, and there's no happiness. And I saw that
Right.
with parents who lost their child, right, their young child.
Yeah.
And some parents were devastated. They aged 10 years in 2 weeks time, and their life was over. And there were
Yeah.
other parents that also had a big grieving, but at some point they gave that a meaning. I remember people that founded a foundation that helps people that lost their child, etc., etc.
Right.
So they made a certain gift of that very bad experience. So that's my way of seeing things. Of always, and that's the clown way, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Always see the positive, no matter what happens. And as a clown, I always laughed. There's a positive thing in everything. Even when people die, that's a joke, right? Even when people die, it's positive, because then the undertaker has a job. See,
Yeah.
that's the clown way. There's always a
Yeah.
positive way, a positive thing, and something bad. And when
Yeah.
you're seeing that, when you try to see it, or when that opens up, of course, at the beginning it won't open up, or it will never open up. That's fine.
Right.
But when it opens up, it gives you a lot of power. It gives you a lot of strength.
Yeah. It sounds like, that sounds like giving meaning to it too. That's a different meaning instead of seeing something as a
Yes,
disaster, right?
I agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And some people, they have this capacity. It's incredible. Some of us do are wired to kind of be positive about
But
everything.
now we have to get back a little bit, because you say some
Yeah.
of us do. I believe that everyone has.
Mm.
Like everyone has a brain.
Mm.
Everyone is. I mean, okay, you have people that are like a little bit not so smart, but that's
Yeah.
besides the point. I believe that every human being is able to do that, but we have to teach them that, and they have to see it, and that's also why it's so important that's why I love children that much. You can
Yeah.
do so many things with them. You can give them a foundation that they will have for the rest of their lives, that
Yeah.
if they have something that's bad happens to them, that that they have a shield for that they have learned to deal with that they have a way to still be happy whatever happens. And that's one of the reasons why I love working with children. We can do that with children through my plays or through my clowning. There was also always this message was in that, and children keep that. They remember the story.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? Because children, you're right. Children are very open to life, aren't they? They're just open-hearted, so they're open to learn. Curiosity, right? I love that. Yeah, that's a huge teaching for all of us to be more like children, more open-minded and open-hearted. I absolutely agree. I love your message, Eddy. I love how you open you are too. You see that makes sense because you work with children, so you're more children-like. So you're very open to different conversations. Even I just brought the spiritual ideas here, and you're very open to them. Thank you.
Of course. Why wouldn't I be? I mean, if everybody was a little bit, I try to listen to people, and that's what a lot of people don't do. They are formulating their own thoughts. I try to listen. Okay, what's this person saying? Hey, that's interesting. I mean, what if she's right? Right? Not what if she's wrong or she's wrong. No.
Right.
My question is, what if she's right?
Yes,
I can come back. That would be great. That would be great.
That is cute.
I would love that. Yeah, why not?
I know. Well, from my own understandings and knowledge on that, yeah, we do come back. But my question still is like, I want to be free from it now in this lifetime, in a sense. I want to have that spiritual knowledge.
I have a good tip for you then. Yeah,
yes.
I have a good tip for you then.
Yes.
Let's agree, or let's just say that we are coming back, right? Let's just say that it is like that. Let's state that for the record. Okay. So that means that if you make this life a good life, that is okay, because then when you go in the next, you will also do that. In the next, you will also do that. And if everybody is going to do that, we all will have a great life, and we all great lives, for that matter.
It's a good logic, with one exception, that the suffering, it follows us. Every time we are born, there is people dying around us, getting sick, old, then the suffering is inevitable. So that's my main thing. How can we end suffering? How can we realize that we are already free now?
Well, it's a thought of Steve Jobs, and I heard it in one of his lectures. Life needs death. Trees, they let their leaves die. They fall on the floor, on the ground, and these leaves will become food for whatever grows.
Yeah,
that's the circle of life. I think we are children. We grow older. At some point, we die, and that's something I picked up lately. I was brought up religion. I was brought up as a Catholic, and there's also this theme of suffering is very, very clearly there.
Yeah.
And that's just my perspective, Valeria. And I don't mean anything by it, but I believe that life is not fair. I truly believe that life is not fair.
Right.
But I mean, by demonizing it, or by putting a lot of emphasis on it, I don't think that's gonna help us. How is that gonna help us? I mean, if you consider that every 3 seconds a child dies from hunger,
right.
How are we gonna cope with that? How are we gonna do that? How are we going to find happiness then if we have all these thoughts in our head?
Right.
How are we going to do that?
Yeah.
And if we want to do something about it, let's do something about it. And let's say, okay, I'm going to do a project there or there where I can help help people, but you can't solve everything. You can't.
Yeah, all problems.
And that's what I mean. We must take care of ourselves first. We must take care of ourselves, that we are happy, and then we can make others happy. But I think, and we can ask this question: why is this suffering there? We can ask the questions. It's a valid question.
Right.
But the longer we are looking for an answer, we won't find an answer. I don't believe there's an answer. I really don't believe that. opinion is just life isn't fair. It is. If I am born as a little child in Europe, chances are I will have a home, have a house, I will have food. Chances are very big. But if I am
Right.
born in India somewhere, chances are that I don't have a home, that I don't have food, that I will
Right.
be very poor and no education. So
Yeah. Hmm.
it's not fair, but what can I do?
Yeah, the suffering and fairness. Yeah, that comes up over and over again. And what I have been, my studies and my practices are in seeing a different kind of life. If there is a different
Mm-hmm.
kind of life that we don't have to suffer, that with the body, we don't have to be identified with the body and the mind. So is there
Mm-hmm.
something beyond the body and mind? And according to the traditions that I follow, there is something behind that. And you
Mm-hmm.
can experience, actually, you can see it. You can
Mm-hmm.
actually experience. So the good news is it really, I have to say, it really feels, it's not just a feeling, but it is a spiritual knowledge. So there is something beyond the body and mind. And that's what we
Uh-huh.
want, the place we want to be. It's not a place, but that's where humans,
Yeah,
if we go
yeah,
toward that, then we call awakening, we call freedom. That's real freedom.
yeah.
But that's a different conversation, isn't it? But I really appreciate, Eddy, you entertaining those ideas. So we're almost
Yeah,
at
of
the
course.
end. Before we end for today, I want to quote a phrase that I found on your website. You say that I
Mm.
love. You say, if you laugh like a child, all your problems die. That's beautiful. Really, really
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah.
Really beautiful.
Happiness is found through the child's eyes, right? Yeah, I mean, it's simple. It's really simple. Go back to
Hmm.
that child. Go back to that. Yeah, it's not naive. It's curious. It's being curious. Be
Yes.
curious again. Don't think you know everything.
Right.
We adults we know enough. We know everything. We know. But a
Right.
child doesn't think like that. They want to know everything. They are so curious. They
Yeah.
want to. They see some ants and they take a stick and they are poking in the
Yeah.
ants to see what's going on.
Yeah.
Uh, and we lose that curiosity at
Mm,
some point. And
we do. The analogy you said earlier about the fire, put the hand on the fire, just
yeah, yeah,
that's a knowledge. That's knowledge. So ignorance is knowing. It's not knowing. If I put my hand there, I will get burned. So if you have the knowledge now from experience that if you put your hand there, you're not going to do it again because it hurts. So I guess that's when I
yeah,
talk that spiritual knowledge, like knowing what caused
true,
this suffering. Yeah,
true. But even if you don't have the knowledge, you will put your hand off the fire.
you could, right? If it's right,
You will,
it's
you will.
would it would be better if somebody tells us, right? Okay, just don't do that because you're gonna get burned. And it would be nice if we just listen to that and just that's wisdom to me. You gotta trust in order to engage in anything, like to work with you, to
Yeah,
meet today. There's a level of trust.
yeah,
So that's what it is. I
absolutely.
guess that I look
Yeah,
to trust whatever it is that's happening and what some people say
yeah,
or have been saying for centuries. Same thing, same message.
absolutely.
So why not listen?
Yes,
Yeah.
same message. That's also what I found out when I was. What I'm saying now, or you are saying, they have been saying that for more than 2,000 years. I work with positive intelligence just at the
Yeah.
court, and there you learn that there you learn what the brain is doing, and it's science based. They have checked this with MRIs, and once you realize that why your brain is doing certain things, you can counter it. You can
Yeah.
counter it. But you have to
Ah,
realize it. Yeah, you have to
right.
be. Yeah, and we do
Hmm.
things, a lot of
Self-knowledge.
things unconscious. But if it gets conscious, if
Right.
it's just stupid thing. It's stupid things. If
Right.
you have stupid things, I'm having a bad day, and
Yeah.
my son is like he's not doing his homework, and then wait now, let's stop this thinking. You can do this. Stop this thinking and think. Okay, let's see at the end of my life. I'm now at the end of my life. I'm an old man. Let's look
Mm,
back at this thing. It's ridiculous. It has nothing. It's so what if
right.
he doesn't do his homework? You know what I mean? So and
Right.
that we can learn. We can learn, and
Mm, yeah.
but yeah, but there are not many people
Oh, well.
who have this wisdom.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
right? To ask questions, to become curious, so we can learn from the old
Yeah,
knowledge, right? Because this is old knowledge.
yeah, of
So thank you
course.
so much, Eddie, for your presence here today. Yeah, I love how spontaneous you are, and you take all these questions and conversations. Thank you so much for being you. That I really appreciate that. So
It was
before we
my
say
pleasure.
goodbye for today, what's the best place to find out more about you, to find your work?
Or you can visit my website, eddysmits.com, or you can look me up at social media. If you Google my name, I will certainly come up.
Yeah.
And if you want to have a conversation with me, um, I'm happy to do that, to see what challenge you have and what you can do about it.
Yes, that sounds wonderful. I'll have the link of your website on under this podcast interview. Thank you so much again for your presence, Eddie, and we'll talk soon.
You're welcome. Thank
Bye
you.
for now.